Today on CityCast Austin, the Women's National Basketball Association tipped off nearly 30 years ago with 8 teams. These days, they're looking to expand that to 16. Could Austin actually be next? One woman here believes it absolutely should be, and she is ready to prove her case. It's Wednesday, January 8th. I'm Eva Ruth Moravec, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, everyone. I am here with Fran Harris. She's an entrepreneur, an announcer, a Texas Longhorn champion, and WNBA basketball champion to talk about her dream of bringing the WNBA to Austin. So WNBA, the Women's National Basketball Association, it's been around since 1996. Now there are 15 teams, and the league wants to add another. So give us your quick elevator pitch that you're very rehearsed at now. What makes Austin stand out among these other cities hoping to bring the W there?
Excited about what's about to happen in Austin. And as you can tell, I'm a person who speaks as if it is happening. So, of course, there are many great cities at the table for this last expansion team slot. And I believe Austin is the place. And I believe Austin is the place because not only do we have a built-in audience of folks who are already supporting women's basketball. So these fans are going to see the UT men's and women's basketball teams play. So that's a good 20,000 people right there that we can pick from, that we can draw from to bring them into the arena. So that's important. The other thing is that Austin has always been a city that's really celebrated women's sports. And that says something about welcoming a new team here. Austin only has one other major professional sports league, sports team, and that is Austin FC. And that means that we have room and attention and money, discretionary income to spend and to enjoy a women's basketball professional team. So those are the two biggest reasons that I believe Austin should be at the top of the list.
It is at the top of the list, right? We're speaking this into existence.
That's right. That's right.
So for people who aren't familiar with the WNBA, I know it's changed a lot in the past 30 years. Tell us a little bit about what it's like now. Describe the WNBA to people who aren't familiar.
In the inaugural season of the WNBA, which was 1997, I played for the Houston Comets. And interestingly enough, there was a great deal of hype and excitement about the WNBA 29 years ago. When I walked into our first game that summer, there were over 16,000 fans in our arena. And a lot of people don't know that. They don't know that when the W started, there was a great deal of fanfare for the league. And what's cool about that is that some of that has sustained. But as we know, if you become a historian or hoopstorian, then you know that there were some wonder years. And I don't mean wonder, W-O-N-D-E-R. I mean some wander, W-A-N-D-E-R years where the fans kind of wandered and couldn't tell whether the W was legit or what. And a lot of that had to do with marketing. But there's always been a great deal of excitement about women's basketball. And that's what I've said in probably every show that I've been on the last 2 weeks is like, the W has always been litty. The W has always been amazing. What hasn't always been on display is the fact that the fans want to spend money, buy merch, that they're looking for a great entertainment value when they come to the game. And what hasn't always been on display are the economics of the WNBA. And that's partly the fault of the WNBA and partly the fault of the public for not supporting women's sports in a way that I believe they should have always supported women's sports.
I heard you say that you spent, I think it was 4 figures on merch at a recent WNBA game. So is that the marketing? Is that the Caitlin Clark? Is that the new designs? Like, what do you think is behind that?
I think we are at the intersection of it all. So the play is good. It's great. The media attention is there. The hype is there. They are creating more merch. The excitement from the folks you're sitting in the arena is there. And so it's like this confluence of everything. It's the perfect storm of everything you need to really heighten the attention of the sport. And so me spending four figures at the All-Star game was partly because I didn't want them to run out, because there have been reports that WNBA fans can't find their merch because they didn't produce enough. They didn't manufacture enough. So that was one. And also I had a really long list of people who knew I was going to All-Star who wanted me to get them some things. And I knew I could use the merch as bargaining tools to do things. Hey, when you watch my house when I'm out of town, I'll give you an All-Star jersey.
Oh man, you're bribing.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So I want to rewind a little bit and get into your hoop story. You came to Austin when you were 17, is that right?
That is correct. I came to Austin as I was going to say shy, but nobody listening would believe that, as a shy, as a shy 17-year-old from Dallas, Texas. And it's interesting because I almost did not sign with the University of Texas. My mom had died the summer before my senior year of high school. And I had a younger brother who was 10 years younger than I was, and he was more like my son than my brother. I didn't want to leave him in Dallas. Even though my sister was there, even though my father was there, he was my baby. And I was like, well, I may as well just go to SMU and I can be close to home and I can see him a lot. And by chance, my oldest brother called the University of Texas, called the Hall of Famer coach Jody Conrad, and said, we closed our recruiting to you, so we weren't interested in looking, but we're going to take another look. So I came to Austin, literally 2 days later, flew down to Austin and loved it. I had not visited. I had not talked to anybody, because even back then, recruiting isn't what it is now. You didn't get 5 visits to wherever you want. So I had to pay for my trip to Austin. And when I got there, it was incredible. And I had to really reconcile my commitment to my younger brother. I started going, okay, well, it's only 183 miles. I mean, come on, they can come to all the games. And so I ended up going home, decommitting from SMU. And that coach was really ticked off, and signing with the University of Texas, certainly the best decision I could have made. So came down and got the opportunity to play in a great system and opened up my basketball career tremendously.
What was your very first impression of Austin then? I mean,
Yeah.
what sealed the deal for you aside from the basketball team and the coach?
It really was about the full picture. It was the full package. It was, where could I go that's close enough to home, but not right in the same city where my family lived, so I could be close enough that they could come and see me, that I could go to that college, that I could fulfill my wildest basketball dreams. That wasn't going to happen at SMU. SMU was great academic school. I was going to get wonderful education, but that team sucked. I mean, the team really sucked. And they were selling me on being the woman. Like, you are that girl. You're going to score 10,000 points here. And they were hoping that it would be appealing to me. And to some degree it was, because I did like shooting a lot and I was a prolific scorer. But then when I looked at the entire picture of what the University of Texas could offer me, the opportunity to play on a great team, not just be a great player, the opportunity to possibly win a national championship, to be on USA national teams, it was obvious. It wasn't even a difficult decision. When I became confident enough to just open up my recruiting to the possibility of being more than the star on a bad team, I could come and be possibly the star on a great team. And more importantly, build something with a team that would last forever.
You mentioned, fulfilling your greatest basketball dreams without the W then, and without, a lot of the infrastructure that we have now around different leagues.
Mhm.
What did you think your basketball dreams were back when you were in college?
Winning a national championship was number one, because that's what you could do. That's a journey you could take with your college teammates. Playing on USA national team. So the Olympics was literally the highest you could go. And also you could play overseas. So there was nothing stateside for women's professional basketball, although many had tried. There was nothing that we could do to stay home. I don't think people ever think about what it felt like for a woman to have to make a decision at 21 about her basketball career. Either you're going to stop playing or you're going 4,000 miles away from home. It was tough. It was really hard. And some people said, I can't leave my family. I don't want to leave my family. But so there would literally be about 12 to 14 of us that went overseas. Think about that. A pool of 400 women in college, and only about 20 of us got jobs overseas. So you got to go to Japan, you got to go to Italy, maybe Spain. It was very, very exclusive. And so, again, my decision to go to Texas was to be the elite on USA national team, because that meant you were going to get picked up when it was time to go overseas. And that's exactly what happened. So all the people who were overseas were people I played with on USA national teams: Teresa Edwards, Katrina McClain, Andrea Lloyd. We'd all played together each summer. So I had made the decision to play overseas in Italy in preparations for the 88 Olympic team, because the way the system kind of worked back then, if you were on the top USA national teams, you made the Olympic team. And by all indications, I was going to be on that 88 Olympic team. And then I was the last person cut from the 88 Olympic team. So I was furious. And that is a very light word for what I was. I was done, and I literally quit basketball. So I retired from basketball when I did not make the 88 Olympic team. I said, done with the politics, done with all the BS. I'm not going to do this. So I enrolled in grad school at Texas, was on staff as a graduate assistant. I was getting a double major, an MBA and a journalism degree. I started out in that program. And then I got an offer to work at Procter and Gamble. So I actually had my first real job in my mid to late 20s, because I was really interested in, getting started financially, moving on from basketball. So I worked for Procter and Gamble for almost 4 or 5 years. That was during the time between graduation and the WNBA started.
But you had also started becoming, or maybe had always been an entrepreneur, right?
I actually started my first business when I was 9 years old. So grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. We were not rich. We were not wealthy. My father started his own company, moonlighted for his own company while he worked for another company. And then he left the company and created his own business. All around me were people who were hustling and doing what they needed to do to put food on their family's table. And for me, I was a very active kid academically and played outside a lot. So I tried a lot of things. I played football with the guys. I played baseball. I played whatever. And I wanted to sing in the choir. Probably maybe I was in the 5th or 6th grade, something like that. And my mother, the robe was going to cost like $75. And my mom was like, listen, it was softball last week. It was soccer the week before that. It was dance the week before that. If you go, this $75, I'm not giving you $75. You got to figure out how to make this money yourself. And for a while, I was kind of sad about that, because I never had to think about how to financially take care of myself. And I did have the kind of mother who said no to Jesus. I realized that in that moment. Like, I don't care that you want to sing in the choir at church. If Jesus really wants you to sing in this choir, then you got to figure out how to get the $75. So I go, okay, I got an idea. Ice cream truck. I don't know where you grew up, but in my neighborhood, the ice cream truck would come around, and kids were going crazy. I mean, if the truck was like a mile away, it's like you had this sixth sense. You could hear the terrible jingle of the ice cream truck coming. All kids would go get their money. And so I was like, hey, kids, summertime in Dallas, sugar. Like, I'm not going to sell ice cream. I'm not going to sell lemonade. What about snow cones? And so my mom goes, go make the list of what you need. I'll advance you that. You're going to pay me on the backside. That summer, I made $1,500 from selling snow cones. So I was like, there's something here. Solve a problem. I needed the money, and my problem was solved. I got my robe that I paid for, and more importantly, learned a very valuable lesson about how to leverage what you know, what you're good at, your skills, your talent, your intellect, to create dough. Dough for what you know is kind of what I learned that summer.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess somebody really did want you to have that robe and be in that choir, huh?
Yep.
Okay, so you've always been an entrepreneur, and you've also been a baller for quite a while. You got the college championship with UT, but it wasn't until 9 years later that the WNBA was created. So what was that like for you to join that first team in Houston, to be able to come back to Texas and play in that women's league?
I had not played in almost a decade when the WNBA started. So what happened was, I had a couple of friends who were in coaching, and they said, we hear that the ABL is starting, the American Basketball League is starting. So I went to try out for that. I was an alternate for the Seattle Reign, so I didn't get to go play there. And then someone said, even if you get picked up, don't do that, because we've heard that the NBA is starting the WNBA next year. And so the next spring, I had the opportunity. I reached out to some people. I said, listen, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a job just to go get some stats overseas, but some friends put me in touch with some attorneys and agents, and literally on the first call a job opened up in Switzerland. So here I was not playing, and then I go to Switzerland in January of 1997 just to play, just to see what it was like. What can I still play, can I whatever. And I go, my team does really well, I'm the leading scorer. Once you know how, I guess, like riding a bike. And I had a really great short season over there, and then I came back and went to a tryout in Houston, and there were 250 women there for 2 spots. And so my luck, I'm like, I'm either really good or I'm really lucky, or maybe both. And I made the team, and I got one of those 2 spots, and the rest is history.
So then I know I'm, kind of fast forwarding or like a couple years ago. It seems like this business side of you and the basketball, love for basketball in your life kind of came together. All of these things in your life were like meshed. It's like 2022, we're going to start another WNBA team. You were part of a cohort, started kind of thinking about it. Did it feel to you like all the pieces are coming into place? This is just what I got to do now? Or how was that for you?
It did start to feel that way. I am very intuitive about what's getting ready to happen. I always have been. There have been things, business ideas that I've had, like for instance, YouTube, like 10 years before YouTube. And I write everything down in my big picture journal or whatever. And I remember starting to pay attention to the things that I was thinking and the things that I was saying were going to happen, and the things that started to happen, and started to realize what a gift that is. And so when Kathy reached out in 2022 to talk about the W, you could just feel that we were getting somewhere. The table was starting to turn in women's sports in general, but especially in women's basketball. And so after we had
Hold on. Who's Kathy?
Kathy, right? I did just like Kathy, like it was just everybody knows Kathy. Kathy Engelbert, who's the commissioner of the WNBA, and I know you're being tongue in cheek. So yeah, I just said it was Kathy, like we had dinner last night. But yeah,
Kathy, Jody, whatever. All my big deal friends.
completely, absolutely. Kathy Engelbert reached out to me in 2022. It was like, hey, I'm new commissioner. I'd met her at an All-Star game the year before, something like that. And she was like, we're trying to figure out where the W's going. I know you're a businesswoman. I saw you on Shark Tank. Would you be in this incubator, accelerator that's really about where are we as the W, what opportunities are we missing, and where can we be going in the future? And so we did that for about 6 months. And when it was over, I felt energized by the meetings and the discussions, and honestly, my contributions. I know a lot about sports marketing. That's the first company that I started after I got cut from the Olympic team. I started an event marketing, a sports marketing company. So I've got 30 years of experience growing events, growing media, that kind of stuff. And so it felt like a good fit for me. But more importantly, something was awakened in me by working in that environment with everybody. And I felt like I'm ready. The W feels like it's ready. And so after that was over, I told Kathy Engelbert, I'm going to be putting together an ownership group sometime in the next few years to bring a team to Austin. And she said, great. She introduced me to the legal team at the NBA, and we started meeting maybe a year after that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you remember during that process, was there an aha moment for you? Or was it initially when you made that cohort, was that seed already in your head? Like, this is what I'm going to do eventually?
Yes, it was already there. And so I wasn't even surprised when Kathy called me. That's a part of my gift set is intuition, premonition. Sometimes it's not always positive. Sometimes I know bad things that are going to happen as well. But this was one of those things where I was like, oh, that's why that happened. That's why Kathy called. And so everything just started to happen. The W started getting better, like significantly improving in terms of corporate sponsorships. And these are all indicators, economic indicators. And so I knew it was time to strike while it's hot. And what's interesting is that even in 2023, which is when I started meeting with the W, there were only 3 other cities talking to the W when I was talking to them. It was very quiet. Expansion conversations were very quiet as recent as last fall. And then all of a sudden, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins. I mean, just exploded. And now, as you've probably heard and read, there's 12 teams, 12 cities at the table who won. And it is how it should be. But I do find it kind of interesting that last fall, there were only three or four teams talking to the W as my competition for the 16th spot. Yeah.
Well, you're a trendsetter. What do you think our chances are of getting this team now amongst these 12 other competitors?
Austin is looking really good right now. Austin is looking very good. I put a rubric together. I'm always putting, literally I did. I put a whole list of all the cities. I put these rows of characteristics, qualities, elements, whatever. And we're the only ones that checked every single box. Fandom, corporate sponsorship, location, intrastate competition with Dallas. Because if I gotta take the stand in this process with the W and tell them why Austin, I'm ready for it. You don't have to ask me twice. I'm ready for it. It's the perfect market. It's geographically central. There's another team in the state, so you got that fun rivalry happening. It's a great place to live. Economy is great. I mean, it's perfect. So it's difficult to ignore Austin given what the W requires and what Austin presents.
So you've talked about what the W requires quite a few times. Let's see if I can remember. You can quiz me.
Goodness.
I know we need an exclusive practice facility.
Yes.
We need an arena.
Yes.
The Moody.
Yes.
And we need money.
We need money, honey. Yep.
So where are we with the practice facility?
Yes.
And whose names can you give us for the money piece? Because I haven't heard you drop any.
It's a mystery. I was telling somebody that yesterday. I was like, initially when I wasn't telling anyone who the controlling owner was, is because of diligence. There is the WNBA. The NBA has to take people through the ringer and make sure they can own a team. And then, so that was my initial reason, was just good business, not to tell anybody until it's for sure, till it's a certain. And then I realized that from my minority investment pool, so the people who are not controlling, when we had some people that I was willing to share, some of those people dropped out. And I was like, this is why I didn't tell anybody about the main person, because these people on the back line, are fickle. If they find another party they want to jump to, they're going to jump to that other party. And so I said, there I go, listening to my intuition again. And it was perfect because, I didn't have any other reason not to tell him. Everybody else is telling everybody. And I was like, no, I'm not going to mention until it's wrapped up, whatever. So I said all that to say, now it's because I like it being a mystery. Like, I don't. It's a mystery. So there go. Everybody else is telling their business, not Austin. And then we're going to go bam. But I will say it is very exciting. I'm glad for the process to kind of move a little bit forward. So it's obvious, people are going to know. They're going to know in the spring. They're going to know in Q1 who it is. So I'm excited about that. So we have controlling owner, obviously. We have some amazing minority investors. Again, I'm not sharing any names, but we have some really cool Texas, and the state, mostly the state, some Texas-centric people, and just a cool team of people who are interested. And the interest is as far, I don't know where Switzerland is, but I got an email 3 weeks ago from somebody in Switzerland who said, hey, I would love to invest in your team. And I was like, what? The money is not the challenge. And who would have thought that would be the case in women's sports even 5 years ago? Even 5 years ago, nobody would be saying, well, the money's not the problem.
That's awesome.
But it's not. There's a lot of money. Thankfully, the economics are on display, so people are not afraid of the opportunity as they were 5 years ago. Now, we're having to turn great people away, and there are only so many franchises that are going to be in the WNBA. These are the realities. There are only so many franchises, and there's only so many cities that are right for the WNBA. So there are lots of cities, but are they the right city for the WNBA? And sadly, some of them are not.
So I'm hearing Elon Musk. Matthew McConaughey. We'll just name drop whoever we feel like then. But I'm sure you've thought about team name, team mascot, colors.
Of course, all of that over a year ago. Uh, People don't realize how long I have been birthing this amazing opportunity. And the names that I'm thinking of, I shared them with the company that I've been working with on branding. And I just told them, I said, here are the names, right? So the first one, we realized there is a similar name already. And so we realized, But then the second one was really the one that I wanted anyway. And I went, bam. And he just went, wow. And everybody I've told this name to, which by the way is only three people, only three people in this city know this name, right? And even the controlling owner doesn't know the name, right? Because we're going to go through the whole brand. We're going to go through all that. And if this name does not make it as the final name, I'm going to be really shocked because it is that perfect. So we'll see. We'll see.
Well, we could make it 4 people today, but getting the feeling you're not going to do that.
Never, 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 never. No.
Holding that close.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So where are we in the process? Has the W been down to Austin to scope things out? Or are they just evaluating your packet? Like, how does this
they're just
process?
evaluating the packet. And I mean, everybody, I don't know that everybody knows this, but the W has its own internal rubric about cities. And so the W has an idea already of the cities that would probably be good cities. So we're in the process of finalizing the packet and all that good stuff and having conversations. But the other kind of must have is the practice facility. You asked me about that. And we've identified maybe 4 to 5 sites in Austin that are really, really solid potential sites. I can share a little bit about the bullets that I kind of think about for practice facilities. There is location, location, location. And there's this conversation of, do players care about their practice facility being near the arena where they play? And I'm like, that you can check that off. That doesn't matter. I mean, you don't want to drive an hour anywhere, but it doesn't need to be near the playing facility because why? So we have places that are kind of on the outskirts. I've identified some sites that are kind of outskirtish, which for Austin, could be Kyle, because that's kind of outskirtish now. So not too far for practice facility. And then some that are literally in Austin, in central Austin, potentially.
And what timeline is the W on for making their decision?
I have heard Q1, but I had also heard October. So who knows?
So they're not telling either.
just give me your stuff and we'll tell you when we're done. So, and I do know that with the October date was initially earmarked because it made sense if you got 3 or 4 cities at the table. But then when 10 more cities were added, it changed the timeline.
Tell me why, like how you see Austinites coming out to support this team and what that community, like where you see that going in that building. And also, where is Jody in your head? What is she telling you? Because I'm sure you're thinking about her too.
So the first question about the city, the community, I believe Austin is ready. I was at the first game of Austin FC. Soccer was my first sport, if you could count the fact that I played it for 3 weeks when I was 8 years old. It was my first sport. So I have an affinity and a love for soccer in a way. But when I went to their first game, and I was like, what? Where did these people come from? That audience, that community had to be built literally from the ground up, but they were there. And that's how I feel about the WNBA team here. Is at least I can see, as I said when we first got in the interview, there's a men's basketball team, there's a women's basketball team. I know there are basketball fans here. I see them already. So, but my big challenge and exciting opportunity is to cultivate the other 8,000 or so fans who are not going to see UT play right now. They were supporting other things. They were waiting on a team or whatever. So I am very excited about the opportunity and challenge and the fun that I'm going to have just being out in the community getting fans into the building. Cheeks in the seats is my favorite term. So, and then as far as coach, as far as Jody, until recently, I hadn't even told coach that I was doing this. And so she saw something in the paper or saw something on, and she was like, you never cease to amaze me. What are you doing? I was like, it's about to happen. So I'm figuring out a way to get her involved. I know she is been through this. First of all, she's been through the process of building from ground zero, and literally ground zero when they were building. She and Dr. Donna Lopiano were building our program, our women's basketball and athletics program, when people didn't even think women should really be playing, that Title IX was taking away from football, was going to destroy the landscape of sports, the way some of these people were talking about it. So I know there are some parallels to the journey that I'm on, that she was on, to build our program. So I'll be tapping into that expertise as well.
I mean, I don't know how you keep these secrets. It's very impressive.
I'm very good at secrets, by the way.
Aside from the live entertainment, really talented athletes, you know, what do you think that bringing the WNBA here would do to the city of Austin in terms of, you know, community events and networking, like having some kind of a process for UT players even to be bigger in the WNBA? Like,
Yeah.
what are the bigger effects
Yeah.
of having it here?
Great question. The first thing I thought of was community. Nothing feels more special than when you are gathered in a place, a physical place, with other people. Just the very basic description of community, just looking to your right and to your left, and you're there with these people who love this team. And there's something about cultivating a community of people who are devout, because that's my goal. I don't want our fans to just like us. I've said this before. I mean, if there's a choice between you going to church on Sunday and we have a game at 2, I want you to be in a pickle about it. I mean, I'm not saying you got to come to the church of hoops, but I'm saying I want there to be like, oh, I don't know what I should do. That's how it should feel. If it doesn't feel like that, we haven't done a good enough job. So I want some devout, evangelistic fans. But economically, I know what the WNBA has done in other places because I've been studying it for 29 years. So economically, job creation, leadership development, we'll probably have some sports accelerators. When you have something like what we're building with the WNBA, you need a laboratory. You need the future, coaches, scientists, broadcasters. So all of those things will be a part of what we're building here. I don't know that that's happening in any of the other cities yet. The thing I'm most excited about is the leadership that I know our franchise will have in the WNBA. Just from our technology to the things I just described to you, we're going to do so much more than just be a basketball team. And we're going to be a business organization that wins awards for culture and community and business, not just championships on the floor, because we got to do that as well. But we're going to win in every place that we exist.
Okay, I know you're not going to name drop, but who is going to be your Matthew McConaughey super fan?
Thinking about that. As a matter of fact, I had lunch with someone in downtown 2 days ago, and we were making a list of exactly that. And I was like, "So, do you know Sandra Bullock?" I was like, "What about Emma Stone?" I mean, now I'm going to name drop on these because I hope they listen to this and they hear somebody calls them. But I literally just had that conversation. I was like, okay, so we got the money that's taken care of, but let's talk about the special people that I want to see on the sidelines and be like, "Hey, girl." So yeah, I've heard some interesting things about Travis Scott. So there's some good people here that we're going to be reaching out to, Instagram and DMs, all that stuff. You're like, "Hey, get in here. You want to be a part of this." And I'm excited and certain that we will get some of those kinds of folks to be on our sidelines.
Awesome. This has been delightful, Fran. I just wanted to see if there's anything else about the bringing the team to Austin, team name that you want to add that we didn't ask about.
I would just say the last thing people usually ask me is, how can we get involved? What can I do? And so I'm going to drop WNBAAustin.com, get on the list. That's where all the information comes from. The emails come directly from me. I'm giving you the scoop. I'm giving you opportunities, all that stuff, but it starts at WNBAAustin.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and we'll be waiting. We're excited. Hope this all happens and that we get all the delightful details very soon. That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can find a link to the WNBA in Austin website in our show notes. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. Nikki will be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.